Okay, today's lesson, can you please mute yourself, right? Yeah, today's lesson is session 12 of Unit 4, Leadership and Management. Okay, this is the intent of today's lesson to understand how to apply leadership and management approaches for effective performance management and continuous improvement. So, by the end of this lesson, you become more familiar and knowledgeable with these 5 bullet points: continuous process, communication processes and strategy, dealing with conflicts and resistance to change. We'll learn how to look at the cultural awareness, capabilities, and skills for transformation. And lastly, we're going to look at multicultural perspectives, coaching, and mentoring. Is that clear what we have to do today? Right. So to commence, let's look at what happened in the last lesson. In the last lesson, we looked at these 3 bullet points. We looked at management approaches, looked at task-oriented and relationship-oriented approaches. We looked at leadership approaches, situational, transformational, and inspirational. And then we also looked at leadership styles. We looked at the pros and the cons of it. Okay, that is the advantages and disadvantages of these leadership styles. Okay. Do you have any question from that? Those of you that were in class in the last lesson? Okay, so permit me to carry on therefore. So in today's lesson, we're looking at this, yeah? We're talking about process, communication process. Now, we can define communication process as that involves exchanging information between the sender and a receiver, including feedback. So for communication to occur, it's a process which involves a sender and a receiver, okay? And the loop back, the feedback. So that is the communication process. And these 5 bullet points are involved in the communication process. The sender is the person that initiates the message. The receiver is the audience or person that receives the message. Okay? And the message itself is the content of the communication. The channel is the medium that is used for that communication. For example, using email, face-to-face communication, telephone communication, or like we're having now on a Google Meet. Okay, so that's the medium. The Google Meet is the medium of this class for communication. The feedback is the response or reaction from the message, your affirmation, what you understood, and the reaction you took from the message that you received. That is called, and then your response, the reply. So all of this constitute what is called a communication process. Okay, we can look at it pictorially like so. So if you look at this picture, you can see boxes. We have sender, message, and coding. So the sender sends the message. You can see the arrow pointing. The arrow tells you the flow of information. Okay, the sender sends a message. The message is encoded. Okay, like if you look at WhatsApp sometimes you can encode. It's encoded. You can also look at any form of communication in IT. They're coded, along the channel, and then from the channel, it goes to the receiver. The receiver receives it and is able to decode the message, and then therefore there will be a feedback, like a reply, to say that they understood the message or to react according to the message that was sent. If you look up at the top, you will see, the red one that says image that says noise. That means noise can be referred to as any form of distortion, any form of external impact that may cause the message not to be received properly. Maybe there's a bandwidth issue or there's a noise in the background. All of those things constitute noise, sometimes referred to as atmospheric disturbance. So anything that hinders the message from being received according to requirement externally is said to be, in IT, we call it noise. All right. So this is a picture that will give you a true representation of what communication process is. A sender and a receiver going through the channel. Okay. Is that clear enough? Now let's look at the strategies involved. Communication strategies involve these bullet points. Listening actively, active listening. Active listening is a strategy for communication. It shows attention by summarizing and confirming understanding. So if you listen actively, you will understand what is being said, then you can give a good feedback. Clarity is also another factor for communication strategy. You should use clear, maybe clear voice, clear spelling. Yeah, basically making sure that that your message that you're about to send or you're sending is very clear and understandable. Okay, in a language that will be understood, not jargons, not ambiguity, that avoids ambiguity, that avoids any form of misunderstanding. So all of this is what constitutes, the strategy. So when you are, or a person is sending a message, they need to ensure that they're clear, that the message is very clear from all of these issues. Okay. Sometimes all of those clarities can be referred to as noise as well. If the language is not very clear, if there is noise in the background, if it is ambiguous and misunderstandable, then you could also refer to it as being noise. That means nothing is said, distortion. So we aim for clarity when we send messages, so that so that the intention is what is received. We also need to have something called empathy. So when you're sending empathy, you show understanding of the other person's perspective. Okay, so empathy in this case here in communication, meaning that you try to align yourself with the person who is going to receive the message, your audience. Okay, you try to tailor your message to that audience by ensuring that the audience can understand it. Okay, for example, if you're sending a message to um, maybe your 7-year-old brother or sister or family member, you would not send the same message or grammar that you use when you're talking to your colleagues. You would try to break it down because you want them to be able to understand it. By so doing, you are actually empathizing, showing empathy in your message. So it's a strategy that is applied during the process of communication. Then, of course, feedback, which is, the message that you get back that improves the communication. You know, where you get a message that it's understood and or they react accordingly. That is, feedback. And then lastly, we talk about respect. That means be cautious and considerate of the other's view. So when you are in today's world in a cosmopolitan, diverse environment, when you communicate, you almost will have to have that empathy. Think about who are the receivers, who are they, what are they like, what is their culture, are they, who are they? Are they a senior management or younger person? So that you can tailor your message or clarify the message to that audience. Okay, so by being respectful. Okay, so sending only messages that are respectful, that are considered considering other people's point of view. Okay, So these are strategies that you must consider during communication. I got an image giving you some these strategies. You think about the purpose, the background, objective, target audience, messaging, and approach. All these are what I just explained. Okay. Then we look at in business per se, what are the strategies that you have to apply when you're trying to communicate in business in the organization. You might use what is called a presentation, like I'm doing now, using presentation. You can use PowerPoint or some sort of presentation so that's more visual, more practical, that is engaging, so that it is easily understood. You can use emails, and in your email, you have to have a subject line, have paragraphs, have proofread. Spelling errors should be avoided. There should be commas and full stops so that it's easy to read on the email. You can also communicate in a business through meetings, having a meeting, call for a meeting, having an agenda for the meeting, having a start and an end time for that meeting, encourage people to participate, and you share and collaborate that way. So these are strategies of how we use communication in business. We are trying to provide feedback that is specific, that is focused on behavior, and offer constructive criticism if need be or where need be. And also in business, we use negotiating contract. You can negotiate contract by defining the goal, prepare to compromise, to agree and to disagree, to have a consensus, to consider alternative actions. All these are examples of communication strategies that need to be applied when you are in business. Okay, more formal way of communication. Okay, let's look at this quiz. Which communication strategy focuses on confirming the sender's or speaker's intent? Anybody? Which communication? You can put your answer in the chat. Which communication strategy focuses on confirming the sender's or speaker's intent? You can think about uh, active listening. Okay, some people might say feedback. All right, but active listening is a strategy that emphasizes understanding, okay, and acknowledgement of the sender's message, and it ensures clarity and avoids miscommunication. Okay. Next, we look at dealing with conflicts. Conflicts can be misunderstanding and issues that within, because wherever you have people together, like in organization, there's bound to be some sort of conflicts. So when there's conflict, how do we resolve conflict? So dealing with conflict means to stay calm, to manage emotions and think clearly, not to be upset, but to stay calm, to listen to the other person, listen to others, understand their perspectives, respect and be professional, avoid personal attack, focus on problems, address the issues, not the individual, willingness to compromise, okay, seek a resolution that meets all interest. So these are just examples of how we can deal with conflicts, okay, in communication or rather in organizations, in business. There are times when there will be conflicts and we need to find a proper way to resolve such problems. And I'm just giving you some of these bullet points. Staying calm, listening to the others, respecting and be professional, focus on the problem, willingness to compromise. Now, question, look at this case study. Two team members have conflicting ideas on a project approach. How would you resolve this conflict while respecting both views? Two team members have conflicting ideas on a project approach. How would you resolve this conflict while respecting both views? So, if you were put in that situation, how would you resolve the problem, the conflict with your partner, and while still respecting both viewpoints? Let you answer. Okay, give it 2 minutes. All right, let's look at the answer here. Possible answer. So how do we resolve? So here, two team members have conflicting ideas on a project approach. How would you resolve this conflict while respecting both views? Here are some answers you could use. Encourage open communication, allowing both parties to everybody to share their views fully. Listen and understand and acknowledge each member's perspectives to show understanding. Identify common goals, find shared objectives, and focus on how both ideas might support them. Suggest compromise, propose a solution that incorporates aspects of each idea if possible. Stay professional, encourage respect, and avoid personal criticisms. Okay, so these are ways in which you can deal with conflicts by trying to understand, by trying to to speak openly, to understand, to listen and understand, to identify the goals, to suggest compromise, and staying professional. Okay, you can look at this image as well. This gives us eight methods of resolving conflicts. Okay, you can use unilateral decisions. You can use persuasion, haggling and battering, arbitration if it means going to court, postponement of the idea to future, problem solving on the spot using critical thinking, or total surrender. Okay, total surrender, that means agreeable or negotiate. Okay, negotiate by dealing with the conflicts, by having a compromise. Okay, listening and showing respect. All of these are just some of the different methods that we can use or one can use in business to resolve conflicts, to deal with conflicts. Okay? However, sometimes we have resistance to change. Resistance to change happens in organizations when there's a change, when there's a need for a change. So, resistance to change means any attitude or behavior opposing change. When somebody tries to oppose a particular change, they say that they resist change, resistance to change. Okay, how do we overcome this resistance? To overcome resistance, we need to be able to effectively communicate to explain the purpose and benefits of the change. So you communicate to enable the purpose and the benefit of the change to be heard. You involve the employee, allowing them to give their own feedback, to be engaged. Allow feedback for engagement. Let hear from them. You give them time to explain, and you hear from them. Then you could offer training and support sometimes, providing resources and learning for adaptation. If there need to be an adaptation and that change, then you may need to train them or support them in some way, maybe through coaching, okay, And lastly, patience and understanding, allowing time to adjust. We say that time heals. So maybe if we just show some patience and understanding, we would overcome the conflict or the issues from the change. Okay? So these are just ways in which you can resist change by adopting any of these or some of these bullet points. All right? Is that clear enough? Let's look at a discussion question. Why might employees resist change? And how can leaders address these changes? You can think about a time in your organization where you work that you try to resist change. Either you are a person that is involved in resisting change, or the employees in your department try to resist change, where you were not happy and you were talking about that change. How did you resolve the change? Okay, because this will always happen in organizations. At some point, you're going to see managers are going to make some decisions which may trigger change, and also trigger employees are not happy about that change, and then issues will come about, and then that has to be resolved. I'll give you a typical example, model answer. Okay, possible answer is reasons for resistance. This is reasons why employees might resist when they feel the fear of the unknown can cause resistance. Fear of the unknown, not employee feel uncertain about how the change will affect their role going forward. So the fear of the unknown can also cause resistance. Loss of control. Changes can make employees feel they have less influence over their work, and also increased workload. New processes might initially seem like they require more effort, and so it makes people want to resist change because they think that change might mean them working very hard, okay, or working long hours or putting more effort. So when these are just the reasons why people might want to change. So it's good that we know reasons people might want to resist, and then let's look at how to address those resistance. So we can address those resistance by, again, clear communication, explaining very well, reasonable reasons why the change is required, the benefit that you can get that can be seen, okay, and the impact of the change in the organization. All this is very important to be clearly explained, narrated to the team. Get the team involved to address resistance. Include employees in the change process and give them a sense of ownership, give them a sense of belonging. Okay, so it is easier to address the resistance if employees feel involved. You can also give training and support, offer resources to ease the transition. Okay, it could be training them on the job or before the change. Okay, so anything that you can use, okay, to ease the change, the transition of that change. Okay, maybe people will need to work long hours, so you can offer a free meal that will probably help supporting people. You can offer uh, bus passes, you know, you could offer a time off in lieu, because there's quite a lot of things you could do, to try to resist change. And last one is about being patient and understanding. You can seek to, the employees to give that time, like a trial period, to give time to see if that change can occur, naturally as time progresses. Okay? So these are ways in which you can resist change. All right? Is that clear, guys? So when there's change, we need to know why there's that why there's resistance to it, and then how to address the resistance. Okay. Next, let's look at cultural awareness. Because organizations exist in today's cosmopolitan environment where we have diverse people, we need to management need to be aware of all of their staff, their employees. So recognizing and understanding cultural differences in the team in order to build positive relationship is very important. Because when management knows all their staff and who they are and where they're coming from, and then try to meet them, that way you will try to be cautious. Okay, learn about other cultures. So you should try to celebrate and learn the culture of people that are in your mix of employees. And also learn to know their beliefs. What is their beliefs, their diverse perspectives. Okay, are they church going? Are they Muslims? Are they Hindu? You know, Try to recognize what they do, and also try to celebrate their their holidays or their festive seasons with them. Recognize biases, understand personal biases to avoid prejudice. Understand that we all have some sort of bias, and therefore you need to be very careful how your personal bias might make you become prejudiced. So you always have to think about your bias, know whether what you're doing is fair, or what you're about to do is fair, or what action you're about to take is fair or not. Okay, that is being aware of your bias. And then learning from others by engaging in cross-cultural environment and perspectives, you can gain cross-cultural experiences. You understand more about the mix. A typical example is in a multicultural team where everybody comes from different places. Understanding and respecting different holidays and customs can enhance team unity because everybody will feel equally involved and they will feel take ownership and be inspired. And so they work more harmoniously. So it's very important that management and leaders are aware of culture of the different employees and try to celebrate and manage those cultures so that no one is left out, no one feels left out. So that way you have a harmonious non-conflict environment. Pictorially, you can look at it like so. So you can learn about the community, know about this knowledge and stories about the community, their language, the traditional and rituals, their techniques and skills, tools and objects, the art, food and drink, the sort of food they eat and all of that. You can celebrate that. For example, Diwali, which is the Indian type culture, you find out that we celebrate it here in the UK. At some point, everybody will cook and bring their their nationality, uh, cuisine or menu. Okay, like here in the class, many of you come from different parts of East Europe, East Europe. You could, decide on a East European day. We can add some. We can say let's have a East European day in this college, and so on that day, because that means we're valuing our East European students, and then we can, get them to do some cooking of different dishes and bring to college on one day, and we all celebrate and have fun. So that is showing cultural awareness of uh, your customers or your students in this case of the college. So there are many ways in which you can manage and show awareness of culture. All right, they're clear enough, guys. Next, we look at capabilities and skills. Capabilities and skills for transformation. As employees, people want to transform from one place, one form to the other, from one position to the other. So we need to be able to manage as managers, look at the capabilities and skills of that will enable transformation. We should look at adaptability, quick learning for new challenges, agility, effective movement in a change environment, resistance or resilience, recovering from setbacks, having a vision, setting goals, and achieving those futuristic goals. So, setting and achieving future goals, leading by inspiring and motivating to employees towards a common goal. So that is transformational leadership, where you inspire and motivate employees towards a common goal. For example, an adaptable leader who quickly shifts strategies in response to market changes fosters resilience in the team. So a transformation from transformational leader should be able to apply adaptability, adapting quickly to changes in market, in this case, in market changes, or so that the team remains very resilient. Now let's look at those skills that are useful in transformational environment. Transformational environment, you require to have these essential skills. Critical thinking skills are needed in a transformational environment where one can analyze information, okay, for sound decision making, problem solving, and identifying effective solutions from a variety of possible solutions, communication, clear verbal and written communication and exchange, both written and verbal, collaborating with work colleagues, with others on a common objective, innovation, creating new ideas to solve problems anew. So, all of these are vital, essential skills that are required in a transformational environment, in an environment where people can be inspired and motivated into greatness to see a vision. All right? Quick question. Um, what skills involve evaluating complex information to make sound decision? What skill involves evaluating complex information to find sound decision? Model answer: critical thinking. Okay, by critical thinking, this skill is crucial for analyzing situations from multiple angles, enabling better decision making and under complex circumstances. So, in a given circumstance, whether complex or not, the best thing to do under critical thinking is to think about, be able to crucially analyze situations using different possible solutions from different angles, and then coming up with a better decision making. Okay, so that is critical thinking is very important as an essential skill to have. Okay, we look at multicultural perspective in business. So in business, in an organization, you have people that have different cultures working together. So the perspective Okay, means that understanding the individual diverse worldwide or worldwide view or world view. So, multicultural perspective in business means understanding and integrating diverse worldview in making decisions. To have those perspectives and understand them, management needs to be curious. You have to have curiosity. You learn about the traditions, the cultural traditions of your team. Okay, the different traditions. You have to try and be curious to research and find out about what is so special about or common about some cultures, and then you show respect by appreciating other people's belief and practices. Be aware of your bias so you can avoid personal bias to impact your judgment. You learn from diverse teams, value stories and experiences from your team. So by so doing, you're giving everybody, you're empowering everybody and inspiring them. And so they have ownership and they will be able to work well. So, case study in a global team, how would you ensure everyone's perspective are considered? Basically, any of these bullet points that I've just raised is sufficient. Okay, you can encourage open dialogue so you can learn about others. You can schedule meetings and accommodate time zones because it's a world view. You may want to. People might be right now. People might be sleeping or just waking up in their own zone, their own time zone. So you need to be sensitive about those situations so that when you're going to call a meeting, you need to try to call a meeting at the times when everybody will be able to participate fully, rather than picking a time that suits you without checking to see if it suits others in other locations. Okay, that's about being biased. Cultural awareness training. There could be need to celebrate and have some sort of training or awareness in-house to celebrate and to understand and to showcase the different cultures that make up the mix and the background of the teams in the organization. That way you avoid mistakes, misunderstanding. You leverage diverse perspectives, encourage team members to share and how their unique cultural insights can benefit the project by allowing people to bring in their own individualities and creativity into problem solving. And so that way you can leverage the diverse perspectives of that organization or team. Is that clear enough? You can also use coaching in leadership. Coaching means supports is a support skill and knowledge development. So people who are already experienced sometimes need support to gain particular skills and knowledge. And so you can have a one-to-one uh, coaching for personal guidance, or you can support and give feedback by help individuals achieve their goal. Okay, so all these are ways in which you can, management can lead their teams. The importance coaching helps develop skills like leadership and technical expertise. Coaching fosters growth through continuous feedback and support. Okay, so basically it's about transforming your teams, and you can do that by coaching. Okay, and so you can also include skills and techniques, maybe technical maybe technical know-how, to be able to gain those skills and then you can pair people up on a one-to-one to get this done. More like or similar to mentoring, which you will see in a minute. Quiz: which coaching aspects emphasizes providing constructive feedback and encouragement? Constructive feedback. Which coaching aspects emphasizes providing constructive feedback? It is simply the bit about support and feedback. Okay, the second bullet point, where individuals achieve their goals. Okay, so effective coaching involves continuous feedback and encouragement to help the individual improve, gain skills, and reach their potentials. Okay, let's look at this image here for size. Importance of employee coaching. This is a picture that came from Super Beans, why we need to coach. If you look very closely, you can see that they have different uh, sections. We have a higher revenue. Higher revenue, when employees are coached, when you use coaching in organizations, they have higher revenue. 51% of companies with a strong coaching culture report revenue that are higher than than their peers by 51%. Better performance. Over 70% of individuals who receive coaching benefit from improved work performance, relating, and more effective communication skills. Higher productivity, 86%. 86% increase in productivity when coaching is combined with training, as compared with 22% with only training. So not only should we not only train, but we should also use coaching because that would yield higher productivity. And lastly, we have reduced turnover. 92% of companies report significantly less turnover when they offer coaching to employees. So when you offer coaching to your already experienced employees, they begin to see how they can grow. They begin to gain more skills within your organization, and even some might get pay rise, some might not get pay rise. But for the fact that you're offering coaching, you know, some employees will feel very stimulated and will become very motivated to stay with that company because they feel they're gaining a lot. And so it will reduce uh, turnover. That means people leaving the business to another business. All right. So these are just examples of why importance of coaching, importance of coaching employees in the workplace. Okay. On the other hand, we look at mentoring. Mentoring in leadership. A mentor guides a less experienced individual. So in an organization where you have some experienced and some unexperienced individuals, you can bring them up to speed by providing them mentors. You apply mentoring, where you have knowledge sharing. The mentors pass on skills and insights. So the mentors are those experienced staff, and the inexperienced ones are referred to as mentee. So the mentors will mentor and pass on a lot of skills and insights to the younger, inexperienced members of the team. So it's through what is referred to as knowledge sharing. And career development is another one through mentoring. It helps mentees achieve their career goal. If you're mentored properly, you can grow within the business because you're staying on that business and you grow and gain more skills. And when you gain more skills, The management will not want you to go with the skills that they've offered you, because these skills may also come from outside. So you try to retain the talented staff that have gained, that you've put a lot of effort on. You've mentored them, you've coached them, so you want to keep them. And to keep them is to make sure that you know you're mentoring them properly, okay, and they can see the vision that the organization has, so that they can transform. Okay. For example, a senior executive mentors new hires to integrate them into the company culture. This is also sufficient. So anything that you do to the young, inexperienced employees, in order for them to gain more skills and more experience and familiar with their job and the environment, that is said to be mentoring, especially if it's assigned on a one-on-one basis, for example, or one-to-many uh, type relationship. Okay, where you have one mentor one or more persons in the organization, so that they can pass on the skills that's required for the job. Yep. So these are just some images of the different types and methods that you can use for employee mentoring. Okay. These are different methods you can use, types and methods. You can use a phone or voicemail. You can use key login. You can use app. You can use image messenger and soft phone, internet and email, computer activities, GPS tracking, useful employees, video surveillance, CCTV. All of these are ways in which you can help, mentor, engage, and mentor employees in the workplace. Okay, is that clear on this? Let's look at the combination, the comparison between coaching and mentoring. So these two go hand in hand. Okay, coaching is for people who are already experienced, but you need to still, stretch their knowledge more and make them feel more valuable. That's called coaching. And mentoring is purely inexperienced people. You want to bring them up to speed, so you pair them up with uh, an experienced person who can then groom, no, not necessarily use the word groom, but then train them sufficiently to have more skills on the job. So these are the examples. So the focus, time frame, and structure. The focus of coaching is skill development. Mentoring is career and personal growth. The time frame is shorter to long projects based on coaching, and the mentoring is purely long term, over a period of time, right? And structure of coaching is more formal and structured, but mentoring can be informal as well as formal. Yeah. So these are just some of the differences between, or similarities between, coaching and mentoring. Let's now align the changes in business goals. Okay. So aligning to changing business goal. How do we do that? We first of all need to identify the goal, determine new objectives, and based on current challenges, then we assess the impact. We analyze strategies, operations, and resolution and resource needs to find out the impact of that change. Do a kind of a cost and benefit analysis. Then we develop a plan, adjust operations and cultures to meet new goals, develop a plan that you will use to move towards that goal. Then you communicate the change to ensure that all employees understand the new roles and are happy with it. And then you implement and monitor it. So once everything is passes go, you implement it. Then you regularly track the progress, okay, and make adjustments at intervals. Okay, so these are the ways in which we can align changing business goals from what it used to be or what it currently is to what it needs to be. Now, case study: a company changes its business model. How would you communicate and align the team to these new goals? So basically, the same thing I've just been explaining now. A company changes its business model from the way it used to work right now or currently to a new model. How could you communicate? How would the business communicate this to their team without problems? Okay, want to think about that? Okay, I'll give you the answer. Model answer. Now let's look at case studies. Okay, the answers here. Here we have five possible answers. One, you clearly communicate the change. Explain why the business model is changing and what are the new goals. What are they? Provide context. Describe the drivers behind the change, such as market trend or customer needs. That's what's driving it. So it's very understandable. Then you involve the key stakeholders, including managers and lead teams in the planning phase to ensure they are aligned properly. Then you outline the new roles side by side with the old roles, for example, in a table. Clarify how each new member's role contributes to the new objectives. And then lastly, you monitor the progress as you've changed and provide updates regularly. So regularly checking in with the team to assess alignment and make any adjustment as needed. So these are ways in which you can align changing business goals. Okay, pictorially, you can look at this aligning to changing business goals. Okay, so you choose from one point, business vision, align with personal vision and stakeholder vision and employee vision, and then you have those on the left hand there, the mission statements, the core values, the strategies, the competitors, and you work with that so as to achieve the new goals. Okay? Is that clear, guys? What have we learned today, therefore? So this is a summary of your takeaway from this. So what have we learned today? We've learned that communication is vital for managing business relationships and conflicts. That we need to be able to communicate for effective management of business and to create good relationship and avoid conflicts. So you need to communicate. Two, dealing with conflicts requires calmness, patience, respect, problem solving approaches, and staying professional. Then we look at culture awareness. We ensure enhanced teamwork in diverse environment. We try to understand the different cultures in our organization, and we try to enhance teamwork by celebrating the different perspectives or cultural perspectives that we have in our mixed. Then capabilities and skills need adaptability. You need to adapt critical thinking to drive transformation. Okay, understanding the skills that your team has, the capabilities, and how they can extend, transform the skills, how you can adapt the skills to suit the business goals, allowing for critical thinking and involvement so that people feel ownership of the their team or their stakes. Then coaching and mentoring is also another factor that is used that is key for skill development and for personal growth. So while coaching is skill development, mentoring leans forward to personal growth within the business. So they go hand in hand. Okay, personal growth and skill development. Is that clear so far? Do you agree that we covered all this? Okay, then this is going to be what I want to do. I'll call it classwork and homework. Okay, so you're gonna. These are things I want you guys to look at. Okay, these 4 questions. How do communication strategies improve workplace relationship? Think about where you work and see how the strategies in there create a relationship, with other teams. Number 2, what are the key approaches to handle resistance to change? In what ways can change, resistance to change, be addressed in your workplace? For example, how did it happen in a situation where there's a change? How was it, what approach was used, or how was it addressed? Number 3, why is cultural awareness important in global business environment? Why is cultural awareness important in global business? The answers are all there. Okay, think about multicultural environment and why you need to celebrate and share understanding, why you need to be curious and learn about others' culture and celebrate and ask questions and communicate. So those are things you need to do for number 3. For number 4, how does adaptability support a transformational environment? Okay, you need to be able to adapt, especially because you have multicultural perspectives in your and in your organization. So you need to be able to transform people from one stage to the other, and so you may need to offer some sort of training and some sort of support. Adapting to their requirements, flexibility may come in there, and selling them a vision, the company's or business vision or customer vision that you're going to sell in order for them to see uh, how the innovation, give them ability to innovate from, and be creative from one stage to the other, so they can see the line of vision of what they can become as time progresses. And this can be done by adaptability and ownership. Is that clear on that? So this is what I'd like you guys to do. Um, I've got some model answer here, but I'm just going to skip it and let you do some work first. So this is the reference book so you can look at. Okay. In the meantime, before I take the register, thank you for your participation. Do you have any questions you want me to answer? No. Okay. If not, no. Thank you very much. This is my details and my YouTube channels where you can pick up. Try to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then I would take the register now. Okay. So thank you for your attendance. So hold on for the register now.